All right, today we're diving into a pretty wild new financial blueprint. It's all about fusing the solid, real world value of physical assets with the crazy speed of digital ecosystems. Let's get right into it.
So let me start by asking you something. What if a real, tangible asset that you can hold in your hand, like an ounce of silver, could be sent on a kind of digital adventure and come back as, like, 1,000 times more than what you started with? Sounds a bit like sci-fi, I know, but that's the core idea we're going to unpack today. And then let's add another layer to that. What if the time you spend just chilling, streaming music, or watching videos, what if that wasn't just you consuming stuff? What if it was an active economic event? What if your attention itself could literally be mined for value? Just keep those two big ideas in your head as we go through this. To really get how this whole system works, we have to start with its philosophy, its foundation, and it's really built on two main things: a very specific view of what real money is, and a culture that's all about turning overlooked intelligence into a serious strategic advantage.
Okay, so right at the heart of this whole thing is the idea of sound money. From this point of view, the government issued money in your bank account, well, it's seen as inherently unstable, always losing value over time. In stark contrast, sound money is defined as something tangible, a physical commodity that nature created, like silver or gold. This belief is the rock-solid foundation for the entire system.
The second piece of the puzzle is all about culture, and it's perfectly captured in this tagline, from the block to the blueprint. This really speaks to the whole ethos of the Inner City Nerds brand. It's about blending that real-world, street-level experience with some seriously high-level strategic thinking. And that connection is absolutely key. The entire system is designed to take resources that people often ignore or undervalue. It doesn't matter if it's an ounce of silver sitting in a vault or the brilliant mind of someone from the inner city, and activating them, turning them into a powerful strategic advantage. So how do you take a philosophy like that and turn it into something that actually works? Well, it's all powered by this dual engine. One part is rooted in legal principles that are centuries old, and the other part, well, that's all about cutting-edge technology.
The best way to think about it is like a dual rail system, two tracks running side by side. On one track, you've got the legal rails. These are old school, established commercial laws that give the system security and make it enforceable pretty much anywhere on the world. And on the other track, you have the digital rails. That's the high-speed blockchain tech that gives you insane speed and liquidity. So one provides certainty, and the other provides velocity. Now, the secret sauce on the legal side is the civil law notary. This is not your typical notary who just stamps a signature. No, this is a legal professional who actually dives in and reviews the substance of a document, its legality. And that process, that simple act, transforms a local legal claim into a globally recognized financial instrument. It basically turns legal certainty into cold, hard, liquid cash.
And on the digital side of things, the whole infrastructure, that superhighway for moving value, is built on the Solana blockchain. And trust me, that choice was no accident. So why Solana? It's all about speed. We're talking about transactions settling in about 0.2 seconds. I mean, that's just the level of efficiency that the old school financial systems can't even dream of matching. And that near instant settlement is absolutely crucial for the kind of high-speed financial moves this system is designed to make. Okay, so we've covered the philosophy and the engine. Now we get to the really exciting part. What does this whole machine actually do? Let's take a look at some of the real-world applications. The first big one is something called the Silver Soul model. And this is where we see that first idea we talked about, multiplying a physical asset, really come to life. And the goal here is, well, it's incredibly ambitious. The mission is to take 1 single ounce of physical silver, send it on that digital journey we talked about, and have it come back as over 2,000 ounces. And get this, success isn't measured in dollars, but in the total amount of the original physical asset. The whole process is broken down using this cool 3-layer rocket metaphor. So first, you've got the launch pad. That's the physical silver, the stable, real-world anchor. Then you ignite the booster engine, which is the Solana network, turning that static value into high-speed digital fuel. And finally, you have the payload, the JFE token, which is the vehicle designed for that high-growth journey into financial space. So you're probably asking, how is that kind of massive multiplication even possible? Well, it all hinges on this one little number. The whole model projects that if the JFE token can just reach a price of 1 penny, the value of that initial position explodes enough to allow for that massive conversion back into physical silver. Pretty wild, right? All right, now let's pivot to the second major application. This one moves away from hard assets like silver to a completely different kind of resource, your attention. This is all done through a model they call proof of content. And the idea is actually pretty simple. Your engagement, the time you spend watching videos, listening to music, combined with a tiny, tiny bit of your device's background computing power, is treated as a form of economic work. That work, that input, then gets converted into tokenized rewards. Now, it's really important to be clear about what mining means here. This isn't your traditional crypto proof-of-work mining that needs super expensive hardware rigs. Not at all. Think of it more as a rewarded media model. It just uses the language of mining to describe how your attention and your participation can generate real value inside the platform's ecosystem. So what does this actually look like for you, the user? It's a super simple 3-step process. 1, you stream content just like you normally would. 2, your browser contributes a small, unnoticeable amount of background resources. And 3, your verified engagement gets converted into tokenized rewards. Your consumption actually becomes a productive economic act. Okay, so we've seen the philosophy, we've seen the dual rail engine, and we've seen 2 very different applications. So let's zoom out and try to answer the really big question here. What does this all add up to? When you put it all together, the whole system really stands on 4 main pillars. You've got the stability of hard assets, the global power of legal wrappers, the incredible speed and liquidity of blockchain rails, and then finally, this entirely new asset class created from tokenized attention. And all of that brings us to our final question. What we have here is a deeply complex, incredibly ambitious blueprint that fuses old world law with new world technology to completely redefine value. So is this the future of how we own and interact with assets? Or is it a system whose own complexity might be its greatest risk? The answer could really determine whether we're on the edge of a brand new economic model or if we're just watching a fascinating experiment play out. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.